I think the best way to frame all of the issues I have with the game is something I literally just came up with. Creative syntax. I mean, yeah, it sounds like a bunch of bullshit, but it's the best I got, just give me a chance. There's something I like to call the got it principle. You offer a design or idea to an audience, and you give them enough visual information within that to give them something to follow on with. He's a raccoon who steals stuff, got it. She's a bounty hunter in space, got it. He's a wacky experiment, a Tomb Raider, an acrobat. Got it. It means less legwork on your part. You don't have to over-explain or clarify something with a backstory unless you address that or set up a deliberate mystery. It also means you can build on top of that idea or joke in a natural way, which can lead to some excellent aha moments for both your characters and the audience. Elements arranged in a way that allows you instant clarity to springboard to bigger and better ideas and maintain a sense of consistency. Creative syntax. Yes, okay. The problem with Hat in Time is that the creativity is all there, but the syntax is not. 2 + 2 does not always equal 4, and that sometimes affects both my investment in the game and my understanding of the mechanics. I know this isn't a game made by professionals or even people who share the same cultural sensibilities as each other, and I'm not looking to put a cap on creativity. I get that sometimes having moments in the game that are just, what the fuck, is in itself part of the game's charm. I just found myself caring less about stuff I wanted to enjoy, or getting ridiculously confused or annoyed at simple things that didn't seem to follow on a fundamental level. Like, I get how balls of yarn can be used to create new hats, that's pretty great. I don't always understand how those hats correlate to the abilities that they offer. The sprint hat is probably the only one I understood straight away. I mean, it's obvious, it's a sports cap, and it looks like something geared towards motion, and becomes a sick-ass bike, making it the best one by default.
Deja vu, I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go.
Is it obvious though that the brewing hat would be your projectile bomber ability and would correlate to these yellow glowing things? Or that the spooky mask reveals platforms after the established sonar bells do the same thing? Or that the ice hat does this? I mean, I love it, it's great. I just wish I'd been nudged towards it less obtusely. I'd see stuff early on that I quickly reasoned needed an extra move to deal with, but didn't know if it was urgent that I address it straight away. I swear I actually had to quickly Google a moment I got stuck at in World 4 with revealing intangible platforms. Like I said, the sonar bells introduced earlier also did this, and I didn't realise it actually required a whole new hat to overcome a second time. Likewise, the idea of putting a ghost inside of a plum to create a bomb. I didn't figure that one out alone. It's cool, but why? I guess I missed this? I think the most obvious point of this, as I mentioned before, is Mafia Town, as well as the bizarre setup the game is built on overall. I kinda spent the first half of the game feeling like I was a page behind or something. Also, when I think of Mafia, I think of wise guys, Italian greasers, gaming Brit, but instead we've got what seems like a bunch of Russian heavies all dressed in cook outfits? Like, the town seems like a big grocery fishing place, more food-based than anything else, so it's like, it's a oh! What? Now see, that's something I had to find, and even then the grammar's kinda I feel like you could have made this a lot simpler and built to this idea gradually. Like, establish that it's a town of mafia pretending to be fishmongers, that's their front business, and have the initial guy acting like he's caught a big fish, and then it turns out he pulls down your ship by accident. So now this mafia town disguised as fishmongers is on high alert about their operations. Like, it's still insane, but it actually has a basic through line, and you can keep ramping that up to something. This kind of overcomplication is also sometimes an issue with the character design, because while it's really nice to look at, there's a lot of stylistic clashes. I think the conductor is both a character I really like, and a character that represents everything wrong with Hat in Time's final polish. All the bird designs are recognisable, but the conductor is some kind of super stylized looking monster bird that I wouldn't have gotten without the level theme cluing me in. Oh, you know how I said these two are both film directors competing over their genres for an award? It's a bit more complicated than that. One is also a train conductor solely to justify his use of a train level. One is a DJ and more of a publicist than a film director. I don't think either gag reads very well. Like, why aren't they just competing film directors or actors who go to great lengths to ensure their stardom? Why does it have to be all these distractive statements and clarifications for the sake of weird gags? It actually makes it harder to set up the cool ideas you have coming up later in any digestible way. Just say he hijacked the train and the track for the movie because he's rich and crazy, and have him eccentrically dressed as a conductor to feel more part of the action. Like, this is not hard to make easy, guys, come on. I think one thing that did pull me out a bit was when a certain reference to a game wasn't blended particularly well, though this didn't happen too often. It's a love letter to the games I like too. Less the Banjo-Kazooies and more the offbeat adventures. Mario Sunshine, Psychonauts, The Wind Waker. It's occasionally done in a really smart way. You get what it's drawing from, but has its own unique spin that takes it somewhere new. However, there were a couple of occasions where it actually hurt the experience because it became more distracting than anything else. The one that sticks with me the most are the crows in the Orient Express chapter. I mean, it's clever, a murder of crows and all, but if you're going to shamelessly copy the gag wholesale from Psychonauts, then you've got to expect an unfavourable comparison. Psychonauts did this for a very specific purpose, to establish a conspiracy theorist point of view of the world and how he thought there were spies around every corner. This gag is literally, oh, there are funny spies on the train collecting your info. Right. Plus, the G-men are 50s, whereas the Sherlock Holmes vibe is way more early 20th century. Wouldn't it have made more sense to feature some Keystone Cops or a bunch of, heavy pugnacious types? I love those. Hell, give these guys the Russian accents. Make them commie spy stereotypes or something. Come on! I'm sure that'll be more endearing the more I do it. Speaking of voices, there does seem to be a bit of an over-exuberance in some of the voice direction. Not so much the cast's fault, I don't think. There's a lot of great people involved here. Even so, a lot of funny ideas or jokes were kind of ruined by the delivery. I don't know if this is the case, but it feels like whoever was guiding this was a bit too pleased with themselves for letting some of the stuff in. I could be wrong.
This movie studio is too big for the both of us, DJ Grooves.
Like, there is a line between a quirk catching on and becoming super obnoxious. Chances are your first take where you found it funny before deciding to build on it was probably worth including for the audience too, to get them on the same page. This is why I really dug Snatch's performance. He reads his lines like an actual person, that's great, but he's also got natural charisma and gave us some coherently funny dialogue. Best boy.
You're taking the experience away from other people.
And you got your hair all the way up it!
Of course, it doesn't help that Mustache Girl is a bit of a peak offender, boy howdy.
Looks like you've got a lot of cleaning up to do, huh?
Her voice doesn't really match anything about her design, which is in itself kind of a head scratcher. I get the mustache, she's like a little girl trying to be a cheeky villain, but she's also meant to be like Red Riding Hood. I mean, unless she's trying out for the First Order, or this is not funny, I don't know Star Wars. I actually like this voice actress and the character, but her motivations and speeches are kind of all over the place, which ruined a lot of her big moments. The direction and writing just didn't pull it off, trying to give me something it considered heavy, but really just coming across like a 5-year-old who thinks the most emotional shit is fucking Pokemon or something. We're going digital. Oh. And then there's the Hat Girl herself. Please don't hate me. She's cute as hell, she's nice, she's got a decent design, but I never felt she was finished. And I think that goes all the way back to the got it principle I was discussing earlier. I know it's kind of a meme, Mario's some crazy shit with this plumber guy fighting a magical turtle, what kind of sense is that? But on some level the character resonates in a way that's to the franchise's advantage. If he was just a short Italian man, it'd be weird, but he's a plumber. A stereotypically downtrodden figure, with a permanent optimistic attitude that juxtaposes this and reflects how nice he must be. Which we know is a lie, we're just waiting for the allegations to come out, Luigi's ready. With Hat Girl, it feels like all of those elements of her design and personality never quite come together. I think she does have a really nice character that creeps through. She really dislikes conflict and is always optimistic in the face of danger. I don't know that her position as Watchful Guardian was really sold to me though. When I first saw her, I assumed she was kind of a cute, artful dodger type. You know, some kind of travelling rogue escaping from a strict household or the law. But she drives a spaceship and controls all of time and space, and I'm not really into that shit, right? I don't think you'd have to change this design, but I feel like a slight tweak in justification would have bridged the gap for me and provided the team with more direction towards the game's overall vision at large. Some of you might be thinking, I don't really get what you mean. Hat in Time is fine. It's just kind of crazy, you know? You gotta have a high IQ, right. I'll admit, I probably just sound like a weird old man again. Maybe the examples I can think of are perhaps a bit too tame in showcasing a better example of how to best represent creative syntax in a less authoritarian way. Well, how about Cuphead? Like, Cuphead is incredibly wacky and bursting with creative designs and strange imagery, but it all comes from a consistent vision, as do the characters' motivations and gameplay choices. It's the blending of two archaic styles, the golden age of animation and the tough-as-nails shmup genre. Two heroes who gamble their lives away to the literal devil and who then have to fight their colourful friends, who can then be funny takes on both shoot-'em-up tropes and classic cartoons. Doesn't matter that they're a bunch of weird guys with cups for heads, it's all palatable because it's based on a specific direction. Cute cartoons and hard-as-nails gameplay, a happy-go-lucky rascal. Got it. See, it's back again. That is what we call I don't know the term, sorry. It's totally not that A Hat in Time isn't close to this. It's like 5 chess moves away, which, admittedly, that's not a one game of chess, fuck. I think if Hat in Time had more confidence in its own ideas and a much clearer through line, it would have always had a solid bedrock it could fall back on that would make this small game something I could really get into. And maybe it's for the fucking best that I can't. Oh, and